Welcome to the Wisconsin Music Podcast.
Welcome to the Wisconsin Music Podcast. Today I get to chat with Jim Schweitzer, the dynamic frontman of Rust Bucket, a 90s grunge and alt-rock tribute band. Jim's musical journey began as the founding drummer of the Whammy-winning band Random Max in 1995. After a hiatus spent traveling the country as a writer, Jim returned to Milwaukee in 2020 and took on the role of lead vocalist for Rust Bucket in 21. Rust Bucket quickly became one of the most talked about bands in the Milwaukee-Waukesha area, known for their faithful rendition of 90s radio hits. Jim's dedication to emulating the vocal styles of legends like Chris Cornell, Billy Corgan, Eddie Vedder, Lane Stanley, Kurt Cobain, and such has earned the band a devoted following. In addition to his music career, Jim has an experienced public speaker and podcaster. He hosts pub trivia, dabbles in stand-up comedy, and co-hosts the podcast Fuel Your Fandom. So, without further ado, let's get over and talk to Jim. Jim, welcome to the Wisconsin Music Podcast.
Well, thank you for that lovely intro, Zach. I appreciate it. I am very happy to be here.
Good to see you.
You as well.
Thank you. So what do you want to talk about today? Do you want to give a little bit more of your history? Do you want to talk more about Rust Bucket, your podcast? You know, the floor is yours, man.
Oh gosh, I don't want to bore the nice people with my podcast stuff. Although, fuelyourfandom.buzzsprout.com is the podcast. We talk about all kinds of fun things: music, TV, pop culture, superheroes, comic books, video games. But this is the Milwaukee Music Podcast, the Wisconsin Music Podcast. So I'm happy to run some stuff down about that. Yeah, as you said, Rust Bucket is my project. And we are having a really, really good time with it. As we record this, we are well into the thick of festival season.
Yep.
We have just come off of playing a really fantastic gig at Bastille Days a couple of weekends ago. We've got some state fair shows coming up, and we are in the process of finalizing our fall schedule. So we should have a whole bunch of great stuff coming up if folks want to check us out there.
Perfect. And you guys have a website, correct?
Yeah, we do. It is rustbuckettheband.com. And we also have a Facebook at facebook.com/rustbuckettheband. If you look up Rust Bucket the band or Milwaukee band Rust Bucket or just Grunge Rust Bucket, we're usually among the top results on your favorite search engine.
Perfect. So I know I gave a little bit of intro of exactly, kind of what music you guys kind of cover, but I think it's better to hear it from the horse's mouth. Why don't you just kind of like tell the listeners exactly what they expect when they come to a Rust Bucket show?
Sure. So Rust Bucket, we really try to keep the energy up. But as far as I know, and I could be wrong on this, there definitely been some new bands springing up and some movements happening. But I think we are the only band in town that is doing an exclusively grunge and the 90s alt-rock playlist. There are definitely some bands that play some of the songs we do under the general umbrella of rock music, but we did notice that there was a real niche to be filled in this area for playing what's essentially like the old New Rock 1021, like the old WLUM playlist from late 90s, early 2000s is kind of our wheelhouse. So we just not that we were cynical about it. We weren't like, well, we have to fill this hole that's existing in the scene. We genuinely love this music, and it's really kind of my primary daily listening. Your Soundgarden, your Nirvana, your Stone Temple Pilots, your Pearl Jam, your Alice in Chains, Smashing Pumpkins, all that great stuff. And so we set about trying to really bring that music to a market that I really feel like at the time especially was kind of asking for it. And the reception we've gotten from audiences and from club owners and from venue folks and from other bands has really reinforced that belief. We've gotten a really huge response, and the main comment that we always get, there's two primarily. The first is, nobody else is doing this stuff. I love this stuff. Thank you for playing this music. And then the second one is some bands might consider it a backhanded compliment, but we don't, because that's what we're going for. They say, man, you guys sound just like the original recordings. Because we kind of make the distinction between tribute and cover. We consider ourselves a tribute. There are a lot of bands like, especially on the national level, that do like a Kiss tribute or like a Queen tribute or something, and they're doing what they can to play the songs the way that people are used to hearing them. And that really is the approach that we bring to less a specific band and more of the entire genre. We dial in our guitar tones. Our drummer gets all the parts down. As you said, I kind of make fun of myself a little bit. I say that the guys didn't really hire a singer as much as I hired kind of a third-rate impressionist. I try and sound a lot like the singers of the era. So we're really trying to recreate these songs more so than like just kind of playing a rendition of them or putting our own spin on them. And we've gotten a great response so far. So far so good, and we hope to keep on to bringing that fidelity of these songs to the people that love this music.
So, what are your steps to making sure that you can basically make yourselves a tribute, multi-tribute band for all the different bands that you do cover?
Well, it's an interesting approach actually. So what we do is we listen. Well, our ultimate authority on how we play the song is we just pull up the song. We all have different. Like I use Spotify. Other folks use Apple Music, Google Music, on all that. So these songs we pull them up and we listen to them, and then we individually kind of learn our parts by just listening to the songs a lot, making sure we have those down. Our guitar players have some really robust digital effects, and they listen to the song, dial in the tones as closely as they possibly can, drill the parts to make sure that they're correct. And we use a lot of in addition to effects. Like I'm not really. I was always the drummer before this in every band I've been in, so vocals is kind of new to me. But I listened to the song and having sung all these songs, kind of doing car karaoke for the last 30, 40 years, subconsciously, kind of like doing what I can to kind of emulate like a Billy Corgan whine or like an Eddie Vedder Jarl, I guess I would call it. But then we go a step further if we can, and just if there are parts in the arrangement that are very necessary for the overall sonic texture of the song, we will do what we can to find a way to put those in. Like I'm not really a keyboard player. I do play some keys in Rust Bucket because there are some songs that we do that have, even if it's just a subtle textural background part that's on the keys, I'll find it, I'll pick it out, I'll learn it, I'll play the keys while I'm doing the song. I spent $45 on a Vibroslap. I play it once during the show on the intro of Wood by Alice in Chains because it's in the song and it needs to be there. So the ultimate authority is the song, and we do what we can to serve the song and to bring the song into the ears of the people that are listening to us as close to the way they want to hear it as possible. And it becomes kind of a challenge for us, especially on certain songs. We've got five people, two guitar players, a bass player, a drummer, and then me, and I'm kind of a utility guy. So we listen to the songs, pick out the parts, dial them in as exactly as we can, and it results in things like the first time we ever played a song, we play a Hemorrhage in My Hands by Fuel. And it's got some definite weird guitar stuff going on, and
Yeah.
there's some backup vocals and what. And we played it for the very first time ever at Maddie's Music Lounge in Waukesha last December was when we debuted the song. And after we got done, a guy in the audience yelled out, "You guys sound just like the record," which was just, it was really, really great to hear that the amount of
Right.
work we're putting in to dial these songs in is really paying off for the folks that want to hear them.
Perfect. Perfect. So, for the listeners out there, maybe there's some budding musicians out there or someone that's trying to do something similar to what maybe you're doing. What are some advice that you could give them to reach that potential?
Well, there's nothing wrong with cover bands. There are a lot of cover bands that I have in town that are friends of mine that I go and see that I love, that are very creative, and they take a song and they put their own spin on it. But if you're looking to sort of recreate the songs and play them and hew a little more closely to the original recorded versions, then get yourself a Spotify account. I actually have all of these songs buried on CDs somewhere in a closet. I worked at a record store all throughout the 90s, which is a very old-fashioned sentence, when there
Mm-hmm.
still were record stores. So any week I didn't end up owing the company money at the end of the week was a good one. So I have all these songs. I've listened to them over and over and over again. They're sort of part of my DNA. So if you're trying to just nail a song the way the song was recorded, repetition is key. Repetition is the key to learning. Listen to the song, dial it in, program it into your gray matter, and just do everything you can to make sure that it's just second nature. Um, there's just some really, really great music out there. And if you want to play it and if you want to do it justice and you want to kind of get those comments of like, man, you guys sound just like I'm used to hearing the song, then just programming it. Your brain is a computer, and the
Yep.
song is the data, and just keep on listening to it, and eventually your voice, your hands, your fingers, your feet, they'll just know what to do by sort of second nature.
Perfect, perfect. And what's so cool about what you're doing, it kind of reminds me of what like the MSO does or the Philharmonic or whatever.
Hmm.
They're taking music from composers hundreds of years ago and trying to replicate it as best they can, as close as they can to what
Yeah.
it originally was when these composers wrote it. Now we come to this day and age where we have the technology where we can even split a recording into different parts. Like I can just hear the drum part, or just the guitar part, or just the vocal, and
Yeah.
you can mess with this stuff so much to the point where you can actually hear the intricacies of what's going on in those recordings.
Yeah, there are a lot of apps that I've seen now, whether they're desktop or phone apps or AI assisted or what have you, that you can sort of like strip down songs, even if you have just the song and not the original, stems of a separated recording. You can yeah, take a song and strip out the vocals. You can strip out the instrumentation and listen just to the vocals. I've seen a lot of TikTok and YouTube videos where they talk about here's Eddie Vedder's isolated vocals, here's Lane
Mm-hmm.
Staley's isolated vocals, and you can listen to just that. There are a lot of tech tools. There's a lot of things you can use that can help with that. So yeah, the possibilities are kind of endless. But it's interesting what you say about the sort of symphony approach. There aren't any recordings from the 1600s, but there is sheet music and there are notes of composers and conductors and musicians from the time, and yeah, so you do find a certain consistency. If you listen to the Boston Philharmonic doing like Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker, and then you listen to one from a different orchestra, there's going to be a certain similarity there.
Yes.
Obviously, musicians are musicians and conductors are conductors, but being able to look at the page or look at a piece of music and think, I'm going to do what I can to do this as much justice as possible. It's not a new idea, certainly, but like we even go so far as to we play Closer by Nine Inch Nails, and obviously Trent Reznor was mostly an electronic industrial musician,
Right.
and we're a bunch of jerks with guitars and stuff. So we do what we can to just dial in those tones on the guitar pedals. I play some keyboards on it. Our drummer has a sample pad. He pivots 90 degrees to his left and plays all those great old Roland 808 and 909 drum sounds on a sample pad so that we can really just get that sound recreated. But yeah, we really just serve the song because I know I spent a lot of time back in the 90s driving around in the car listening to these songs. They were the soundtrack of my life. I had some of the greatest times of my life to this music. And so we're just trying to, as much as it pains me as an aging Gen Xer to talk about 90s music as nostalgia because it's
Yeah.
so fresh and vital to me still, it's a powerful thing. Nostalgia
Yep.
is a powerful thing. And so if we can evoke that by getting a song into somebody's ears in a live setting that maybe they didn't catch Stone Temple Pilots back in the day. Maybe they didn't catch Screaming Trees before Mark Lanigan passed away, or maybe they never saw Queens of the Stone Age. We want to make sure we get these songs to them in the way they want to hear them. It's in order to sort of evoke that feeling of a bygone era.
Yeah. And in the opening of the intro, I said you guys are like the Milwaukee Waukesha area. So is that your home base? And if not, or if so, where else do you guys expand to?
Yeah, we rehearse in Waukesha. Our drummer John lives in Waukesha, and being as he's the drummer and therefore kind of the least portable and with the most cumbersome amount of gear, and I remember that from the years when I was a drummer myself.
Yep.
We rehearse at his place, and so that's kind of our home base, and it winds up being pretty centrally located for all of us. We all come from different areas around the metro, but Waukesha is kind of in the middle for everybody. So that's where we rehearse, and we wind up doing pretty well in Waukesha. We've played quite a few times at Salty Toad and Maddie's Music Lounge, and various areas around there. We do pretty well in Economawalk, and the festival stuff all downtown. But in order to kind of keep things to the point where we're not booking overnight stays at hotels and whatnot, we do try to stay within about a 90-mile radius of 90 miles, 90 minutes roughly of Waukesha. So we sort of, when originally looking for gigs, we used an app on Google Maps to sort of draw a 90-mile, 90-minute drive radius around home base, and then looked up all the venues in that area, and then spammed them with emails and press kits and phone calls until they were like, "All right, fine, leave us alone. If we book you, will you shut up?" And so then we wound up getting some bookings out of that, and one of the things we're really proud of that we sort of cite when we're talking to new venues and we have it on our website and everything else is that we've been asked back to every venue we've ever played, usually before we're done packing up. They always ask us back, and that's I think a reflection of what we're bringing musically, but we also leave
Yeah.
our egos at the door. We just try and be really easy to work with and nice people, and that tends to be appreciated by the folks that are handing out the gigs, and it's served us really well to do that.
Hey, Wisconsin Music Podcast listeners. Are you looking to elevate your music with a personal touch? Let me introduce you to ZTF Studio, where your sound finds its true home. At ZTF Studio, we create more than just great recordings. We create an experience. Our cozy, home-based studio in southeast Wisconsin is designed to make you feel comfortable and inspired. Imagine walking into a space where your music is treated with the same care and passion you put into it. But with over 20 years of experience, we know how to bring out the best in your sound. Whether you're a solo artist or a full band, you'll get personalized attention and expert guidance every step of the way. We blend technical expertise with a warm, welcoming vibe to make your recording sessions enjoyable and productive. So, come on in, grab a cup of coffee, and let's make your next crowd pleaser together. Visit ztfstudio.com to book a conversation with Zach about your vision for your next project. ZTF Studio, where your sound feels at home. Now, back to our amazing guest.
Yeah. So, being a band that gets asked back, and obviously you're doing really, really well if that's what's happening at every venue you're doing, are you charging like a cover charge? Is the venue saying this is how much we're going to pay you no matter what? How does that work for you, or how do you guys approach that?
I remember being in bands in the '90s, and a lot of the time you were playing for the door, and that was kind of a thing that happened a lot. Now there's a lot more in the way of guarantees. I find like when we're negotiating to line up a gig someplace, usually they're gonna talk about offering a certain fixed amount. And so then it's really incumbent upon us. It's our responsibility to make sure that we get folks in the door. We're providing the entertainment. There's this joke that's not really a joke that kind of floats around the music scene. If you go to any like whammy meetings or any big gatherings where a lot of musicians hang out, we kind of refer to ourselves as beer salesmen. Um, Kind of like when movie theater owners get together, they say, "Yeah, I'm a candy seller."
Yeah.
We don't really make much off the actual tickets,
Right.
but it is our job to get butts on stools, to get people on the dance floor, to come on out and buy food and drinks. So we do have a certain range we like to stay in, not because we're out there trying to make $1 million off of this. Being in a local band, you're never gonna be able to retire off of that. But we want to make sure that we're at least breaking even and maybe coming away with a little bit of beer money. So we do have a range that we like to stick to. But more than anything, it's as sort of not sexy as it is to talk about cost effectiveness and breaking even on things. It's not about the money for any of us. We just really love these songs and love to play and love to entertain people. But at the same time, we also can't really necessarily afford to make this an incredibly expensive hobby because getting these songs dialed in requires a lot of gear,
Yep.
requires gas, vehicles that are able to haul all of this stuff. So yeah, we definitely have a bubble that we like to hang out around. We'll always take more than that, but if we can, we like to kind of stick to a certain range so that we can make sure that we're not selling ourselves too short and that we're coming away from these things having delivered some value to the people that are making the decisions.
Excellent. And then what advice would you give to people that you do to get, as you say, butts in the seats?
Well, it's interesting because we definitely live in a digital age, but Rust Bucket is playing music that was from kind of if anything, the very, very early days, the dawn of the internet, when things were very hands-on and analog and DIY. So we do a lot of things that a lot of bands don't, and we've definitely had some folks call us out on that and say they appreciate it. I have a relationship with a couple of different printing companies, and so the moment we book a gig, as soon as we have it finalized, I have some mailing tubes and some big glossy 11 by 17 posters that, just like the '90s, are blank on the bottom. It's got our photo on the top and a little block in the center of the graphic that kind of talks about the stuff we do and names some of the bands we play. And then on the bottom, I take a big old fat Sharpie and I put the name of the venue, the time, and the date that we're going to be there on the bottom in a nice hand scrawled script. And then I roll those bad boys up into a cardboard tube and I send them to the venue. I also have a bunch of stickers. I, I have a whole lot of like really nice weatherproof vinyl stickers. I have business cards. The more tangible something is, if you can give somebody a business card that they can hang on to, that's going to be in their wallet or their pocket to remind them that you exist, they're going to look at that and hopefully eventually give you a call. So, um, in terms of the set list, we have a real 90s approach, and in terms of the promotion and the marketing, which is the ill marriage of art and commerce, you have to have that part of it. We also go back to the 90s for our inspiration for that. So we do things in a real hands-on, tangible kind of sense. We've found that it's kind of people are deluged with communication, and it's easy for a club owner to forget about a phone call or to ignore an email or, oh, I thought I answered that, and they answered it in their heads. People get these things all the time, but if you give them something they can hang on to, that you can actually put in their hands that they can look at and refer back to, we find that winds up getting us again a lot more attention than we might have otherwise, just trying to rely on digital methods of communication.
Nice. Well, thanks for that advice. Now, obviously, you must have strong. Hang on a second. My brain just forgot what I was going to say. The work-life balance. How is that working out for you?
Terribly. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. It's really bad. I'm a travel writer during my day job. So I just recently got a promotion. My boss left our company after about 13 years. And so I wound up taking on her job into doing some more content management. Yeah, like you mentioned in the run-up, I also host pub trivia. I have some freelance clients. The band rehearses once a week. We usually play a couple of times a month. So I just have a pretty horrible work-life balance, honestly. I'm sort of in the making hay while the sun shines period of my life, just trying to stay as busy as I can. Just because I don't like to sit still for the most part. A little bit fidgety, but it's funny. I was talking to a friend the other day, and I told him I bought this book back in February called Burnout: Managing the Stress Cycle, and I haven't had the time to read it. That's just more than anything is indicative of my want to mitigate this issue, but my sort of seeming inability to help myself. No, I got a lot going on, but I found out that you can actually run on empty, and it's fine. It's fine. It's really okay. You can just keep on motoring through.
Nice. Now, you guys have, but like you said, you work these songs to perfection as close as possible. Do you guys record yourselves and then listen back and try to, fix things that maybe you didn't hear when you were practicing, or is that part of your?
Yeah. We record a lot of our rehearsals, and it's kind of like watching the game film. Like if you can, although your only opponent is yourself, you're really all on the same team. But if there's a stumble or a mess up, or there's an issue that's happening, always in the same place, and we can go back and isolate that. Like there's not a lot of bands in town that play Tool songs because they're incredibly mathy and very intricate, and the arrangements are kind of all over the place, and they don't really follow a traditional structure. You kind of just have to feel them rather than count them or have anything in your head that you can really stick to. So those were a little bit difficult to put together, and there were definitely some places where we sort of like kept falling apart. So we would listen to the recordings and say, what are we doing here? How can we improve this? We really take the responsibility seriously of playing these songs as close to the recorded versions as we can. It's difficult sometimes. If you're playing a Green Day song, look, I'm not gonna bag on Green Day. They're fantastic. They're one of my favorite bands, but they have three chords and an attitude. But if you're playing something like a Tool song, or if you're playing a Pearl Jam song where you have two lead guitarists and they're sort of weaving in and out of each other, it really is important to just listen to the recordings and then to record yourself while you do them, so that you can go back in case there's any screw ups, and you can just listen and isolate those issues. And I mean, especially for me, I actually kind of have the easy part, especially in terms of rehearsal, because I really just show up with my bag of gear to actually practice. But in the car is really where I do most of my putting the parts together. I have a Spotify playlist I put together that's got all the songs we play on them, and if I'm going to be driving anywhere over a half an hour, I just put that thing on and hit shuffle, and then try and sing along with the songs as they come up, and try and make sure that I'm hitting the inflection and the pitch and the tone of these vocalists. So yeah, especially if we're working on something new. If there's a new song that we're working on, it's having some trouble kind of gelling or coming together, then we definitely do record the songs and kind of go back to those and listen to where we might be able to improve.
Nice.
I'm gonna bring it back when I leave our making every promise empty, pointing every finger at me, waiting like a stalking bird, who upon the finger rest, murdered out the path of mercy, just because of self-defense. Jesus, what the fuck is this? Tell me from the past is now. Jesus, what you fucking whistle? Something from the past is now. Why we not be sober? Just want to stop this over. Why can't we take forever? Just want to stop this over. I'm just a worthless liar. I am just an imbecile. I will only complicate you. Trust in me and far as well. I will find the center in you. I will chew it up and leave. I will work to elevate you. Just enough to break it down. Mama Mary, won't you whisper something from the past is now? Mama Mary, won't you whisper something from the past is now? Why can't we not be sober? Just want to start this over. Why can't we sleep forever? Just want to start this over. I'm just a worthless liar. I'm just an imbecile. I will only complicate you. Trust in me and far as well. I will find a center in you. I will chew it up and leave. Trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me. Why can't we not be sober? Just want to start this over. Why can't we sleep forever? Just want to start this over. Why?
Now, for any of the listeners out there that want to be a frontman and a singer, what are some advice that you could give them?
I am a terrible person to be giving frontman advice. I'm still kind of learning how to do it myself. I mean, for years and years, I was sitting at the back, kind of surrounded by machinery, kind of hunched down and just drilling out beats. But I'm still kind of learning. The vocal part, I'm after almost 3 years now doing a band. I'm getting more confident with that based on a lot of feedback, based on just feeling like I'm able to sit in the pocket and get those out a little bit more. But being a front man is something that I still struggle with. But I have some really good examples set for me. 90s music, grunge music, alt rock is really my favorite form of music. But I discovered it when I got to college. I graduated high school in '93 and found all that. But prior to that, I kind of inherited a lot of my folks music. Growing up, we always had music in the house. We listened to a lot of Queen and the Beatles and Eagles and Fleetwood Mac and all the great old classic rock bands, a lot of Motown, a lot of Stax Volt, a lot of really wide variety of artists. And I find YouTube is a good resource. If there's a band that you are trying to sound like and you want to kind of bring their presentation to the stage, watch their concert footage. Kind of see what the guy up front is doing, and not necessarily unless you're trying to do like a single band emulation. Like if you're going to be a Kiss tribute band and you want to wear the makeup, you want to do a Paul Stanley. Or if you're going to be a Queen tribute band and you're trying to kind of get down Freddie Mercury's dance moves. If you're just trying to kind of have a presence on stage, just see what other guys do, and then don't do exactly what they do unless you're trying specifically to emulate that person. Um, because I find that the times when I feel most confident on stage is when I'm just not thinking about it. If it's contrived, if it's rehearsed, if it's now I have to do something with my hands, now I'm going to go over here and rock out with the guitar player. It might come off as kind of artificial. So the comfort that I'm developing as I kind of grow into this role a little bit and away from wishing I was still hiding behind a couple $1,000 worth of big shiny tubs, is just to do what feels natural, and also to have somebody in the audience if you've got a friend there, or even if you want to invest in a GoPro and set it up on a tripod back in the corner, watch yourself. And if you do something, you go, oh, that's a little cringy, or oh, that really worked well. I had a moment of interaction and authenticity there. Then just review that. Record yourself and watch yourself, and then again, like find out where your problem areas are, and then work to address those. But above all else, just kind of be yourself, be authentic, be natural, because audiences really love that organic connection.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you have anything else you want to add? Things that you're wanting to talk about that's coming up in the future, or anything like that?
Sure. As we record this, we've got a couple of state fair gigs coming up. We are playing on Saturday the 3rd and Tuesday the 6th on the Knucklehead stage at State Fair. After that, we're going to be heading out to Belfast Station in Sussex on, I want to say, the 21st of September. Don't quote me on that. It's going to be on our website. I have to look at our website to know where we're going to be, but that's rustbuckettheband.com. But we're working on finalizing our fall schedule. We've got some great gigs in the works. We usually book 5 to 6 months out, so we've definitely got some great things in the pipe. And yeah, for anybody that really just loves the old heyday of New Rock 1021, the old WLUM playlist, that kind of largely informs the stuff that we pick. We definitely have some outliers, some little things that we love to do that weren't necessarily well worn on that playlist by that program director, but still, we just have a good time, and our audiences have been telling us they're having a great time too, which we always appreciate. And yeah, if you want to see something a little different in the local scene, and you have any interest in this music, we are doing our best to do it justice, and we'd love to see your happy smiling face at the show.
Wonderful. Now, as we're wrapping this up, if what kind of gigs that you've either played or you've gone and seen a performer that made a big impression on you?
Well, I think if I'm thinking back, I spent pretty much every penny of my disposable income, and maybe even skipped a couple of utility bills and took cold showers for a couple of weeks, going to gigs in the 90s. I used to go a lot to, if anybody's an old guy like me and you remember the music go around over on Brady and Farwell, where I think there's a wing place there now. They used to have that brick windowsill where they would line up all the 2-drink minimum tickets for the Rave Eagles ballroom. And they really were genuinely that. It was a little construction paper ticket, and you could pick those things up and bring to the rave and buy a couple of beers and see great bands like No Doubt. And I saw the Butthole Surfers out there. I saw Stone Temple Pilots on the Purple Tour at the Marcus Amphitheater, and it was still the Marcus Amphitheater. So yeah, just go to shows. I mean, definitely check out the music you love. If your band is touring, I have tickets to go see Jane's Addiction a little later this year, because Dave Navarro was sick for a little while, but he's back with the original lineup of the band, and I love that band. We play a couple songs by them. Yeah, just go and see the music. Concert tickets. Just I spent so much money on concert tickets. I was probably all through my 20s and 30s seeing 4, 5, 6, 7 shows a month, hitting the road, following bands. Wow. I've seen Better Than Ezra like 105 times. That's not even an exaggeration. I follow those guys around quite a bit ever since the 90s, and Yeah, just check out shows. I mean, it's like any music is like any other art. If you want to find out how to paint, you study the masters and you head to the museum. If you want to find out how to sculpt, you buy some clay, you work it out. You want to be a dancer, you watch some videos, you take some lessons. Learning by doing is really the only way to do it. That classic Malcolm Gladwell, 10,000 hours of doing anything makes you an expert at it is it's kind of some bumper sticker BS, but it's also, really true. The more you work at something, the more you practice it, the more you dedicate yourself to it, the better off you're going to be when it's time to do it for real.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One last question is, if you could go back in time and talk to your younger self, would there be any advice you'd give yourself?
Oh boy. As much as I have loved playing drums throughout my life, and as much as I have, it's really served me well in different bands. Um, I would probably say, get off behind the kit once in a while. Drums is fun, and you have a good time with it, but the old stereotype of, how many singers does it take to change a light bulb? There's two answers to that one. The first one is singers don't touch gear, and then the other one is, just one. He holds the light bulb up, and then the world revolves around him. We don't have any egos in this band, and I certainly am. I'm still working on my confidence, but I would advise myself, as good a time as I'm having with this whole singing thing, I would say to myself, experiment a little bit. Maybe start up a side project where you're doing some singing and develop some confidence and skills with that. Just branch out. Don't think of yourself as just being one thing. Don't think, well, I am just the drummer and that's all I'm going to be. Not that there's anything wrong with being the drummer. I did it for a very long time, and a lot of my friends are drummers, and even our drummer, like whenever we play Everlong by the Foo Fighters, we introduce it by saying, this is the song that the audience says, if you love your audience but hate your drummer, you play this song, because it really is pretty arduous. But our drummer suggested it, so just if I could tell myself anything, I'd say branch out. Don't limit yourself. You have an interest in doing other things, do them. There's no rules to this. You can do whatever you want, and you should want to grow as a person who's a creative person. You should want to try new things all the time and challenge yourself.
Absolutely.
So get out of your rut, get out of your niche, do new stuff. Have the courage to be bad at something. That's the first step towards being good at it.
Exactly. So Jim, thank you so much for being on Wisconsin Music Podcast, listeners. Rust Bucket, theband.com is our website. Rust Bucket is the band. They do great tribute, not covers, but they're tribute. They're going note for note here. So if you want to go hear a great band playing the songs of the 90s, go check out Rust Bucket in the near future. Jim, once again, thank you so much for being on the Wisconsin Music Podcast.
Thank you, Zach. It's a lot of fun, and I've been listening for a while, and you're doing great stuff for the scene, and we appreciate it. So, definitely keep up the good work, and thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. And then that's it. Cool.
Awesome.
Hopefully I covered everything that you wanted to talk about, and that you were able to.
Totally.
Okay, cool. I will try to get this out as soon as possible, especially since you have like gigs at the State Fair coming up really soon in the next
very cool.
couple weeks, I believe. Yeah, it's going to be. Or is it next week, or isn't it?
Look at my calendar. It's what's today? Today's the 24th. Yeah, that's coming up in about 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Well, actually, oh crap. Weekend after next is the 3rd. This coming Saturday is the 27th, and the 3rd is after that, and then we're the 6th also. Oof. So yeah,
summer is flying by.
It really is. It does every year, but this year really seems to be pushing down the pedal.
Right, exactly. Well, like I said, I will try to get this out. If I can't get it out for next Tuesday, definitely for the 6th, which is going to get you right before the 7th. But I'll try to get it out there for you as soon as I can.
That is huge, Zach. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Well, unless you have any other questions, have a great night.
Yeah, right back at you. Thanks so much.
Well, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of the Wisconsin Music Podcast. Once again, I'm Zach Fell, your host and creator of the Wisconsin Music Podcast, where I love to amplify the great sounds coming out of the Wisconsin state. We have great talent here, great support, great listeners. Thanks to Fox Cities Indie Radio for syndicating this on Thursdays and Sundays, along with their other great programming. So make sure you check out the Fox Cities Indie Radio. Thanks so much to Jim from Rust Bucket for being on the Wisconsin Music Podcast. You can check them out at the Wisconsin State Fair and other gigs coming up at the end of this year. For those of you who are new to our show, the Wisconsin Music Podcast is dedicated to showcasing the incredible talent of Wisconsin-based musicians and the thriving local music community. Our episodes drop every Tuesday on all streaming platforms and YouTube. Additionally, you can catch our episodes on Fox Cities Indie Radio every Thursday at 6 p.m. and Sunday at 3 p.m. Make sure to follow Chris on Facebook, X, and Instagram to keep up with his latest musical endeavors. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week with another fantastic episode on the Wisconsin Music Podcast. If you'd like to be on the show, just go to wisconsinmusicpodcast.com, fill out the guest request form up at the top, ask for your email and your name, and then I'll send you an auto email asking you for more information. If you are enjoying these episodes, please consider donating to the Wisconsin Music Podcast. Donations help pay for the website and putting the podcast up on streaming services, and also getting our name out there to all Wisconsinites and others that are interested in our great music here in Wisconsin. Donations are secured through PayPal and Stripe. All you have to do is go to the website and click on Donate to WMP. You can also head over to our Instagram and Facebook pages and like us there. Leave some comments. Also go to the podcast review section of your podcast player and leave a 5-star review. It would be great. You can also head over to YouTube and watch the interviews and leave comments there as well. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you next time.